Hey everybody, on today's episode of Madge Unmuted, it's me, Solo. Yeah, and I'm going to be talking about reality TV. We're going to be talking about Amanda and West and how we think it's all our business. It's really nobody's business, but we're going to talk about it anyway, and so we're going to make it our business, even though it's not our business. But we're going to learn lessons from relationships by watching others fail tremendously on today's episode of Madge Unmuted. And welcome to another episode of Madge Unmuted. I'm your hostess, Madge Madigan. Welcome. We're doing a little something different today. I'm trying a solo episode. And I don't even have Fitz or Chris. Neither of them could make it today, so I'm just going to wing it. The one really important thing I want to talk about is Amanda and West. I want to talk about reality television because it's gotten fucking ridiculous. Do you watch Summer House? I watch Summer House. Pretty much I watch everything on Bravo. So there's that. We could talk about any show on Bravo. But the thing I find really interesting about it is you can learn a lot of life lessons from Bravo. Reality TV in general. Some of it, though, is so ridiculously scripted. Like, I think, honestly, those 90 days, I don't think most of them are real. Or I think most people have made up their situations just to get on the show. Some of them might be real, but I also think almost always they have to have like a hook. If you've ever been a writer or if you ever took writing courses in college, you learn that there always has to be a conflict. There has to be a conflict. That's what makes the story. Usually goes, conflict and climax and resolution and yada, yada, yada. Or if, you're a writer on Seinfeld, it's just about nothing. Or the Madge Unmuted podcast, it's just about nothing. Anyway, I think in those 90-day shows, they always have some sort of conflict. It's like, oh, somebody just forgot one key important thing about their lives, that like they're still married, or they can't have sex. The person thinks they're going to move there, but the person has like a criminal record and there's no way in hell they're going to move. There's some manufactured drama, I think, in those. So anyway, but a lot of them, there's life lessons to be learned, the way people handle things. So the big news in reality TV land recently was Amanda and West. There's all these people that live in a house in the summer in the Hamptons. And Amanda was married to Kyle. West was just a guy that was in the group. West used to date Sierra a couple summers ago, but he really did her wrong. Like, he wasn't ready to commit. Well, apparently he must have acted like he was off screen, and then he didn't, and then he like kind of did her dirty in the press, and he just handled it all wrong. He acted really shitty after it ended. And this past summer, trying to get not back together, like they were mending their friendship and everything's good. Also, Amanda and Sierra are best friends. Well, what comes out, Kyle and Amanda just separated, I think in November. Then people were speculating they were seeing Amanda and West all over town in New York City, where they live. They finally came clean that they put out this statement that was like, we're exploring this connection we've recently discovered, and we don't, we're not sure what to do, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Amanda was separated, getting a divorce, moved out from her husband. Sarah and West, I don't know if they were dating. All kinds of different things are coming out now if they were dating. Anyway, so everybody's getting on Amanda's ass because she did her, I guess, she did her friend Sarah dirty. Because they might have been, I guess they'd been seen together and yada yada. It was a sensitive subject. So everybody getting on her ass. Not too many. Everybody feels sorry for Sierra, which, yeah, that's kind of shitty. And everybody has just kind of ignored West because they already know that he's a piece of shit. Well, he's just obviously a fuckboy. He's never going to settle down. Then there's all these things coming out that, has been dating this one, that one. Anyway, all of this to go back and say everybody has opinions now. Everybody's the most recent episode, or the most recent season of Summer House is airing right now, and everybody's trying to look for clues in the show. I honestly don't care. I mistakenly made a comment on some social media posting, and I said, oh no, I actually posted my own. I forgot. I actually posted my own TikTok that said, You know whose business it is about Weston Sierra or Weston Amanda? Nunya. And people were like, well, yeah, it is, because they're on a reality TV show. Well, yeah, we can pay attention, but it's also not our duty to be judge, jury, and executioner on shit we don't really know the whole story. We just know, and like, let them figure it out. What the hell are we gonna do about it anyway? As viewers, it's like, not that it fucking matters what any fan, viewer, whatever you want to call it, doesn't make any fucking difference what we do or how we feel, because it's not going to change anything. Do you know what I mean? And we're not there. We don't know what's going on, but these people are just ripping people up one side and down the other. And I'm like, give them a break. You don't know. But my question is, what is it about these people that do this? I'm guessing they think it makes them feel better about themselves. You want to find fault in somebody else, it's because you are miserable about yourself and you want to tear somebody else down, rip somebody apart, make you feel superior. Okay, I want to ask these people, do you feel superior now that you are saying shit about Amanda, saying shit about Wes? Maybe it makes you feel superior, but it makes you feel superior, but it doesn't make you superior. Do you know what I mean? Mostly makes you sound like a judgmental asshole. So I don't really recommend that. But also, it's just because these people are on TV. Yes, we get invested in their lives because that's the whole premise of the show, that we're watching their personal lives unfold. But it doesn't give you a right to completely dissect their being and be cruel and lambaste them and say really awful things, and I don't know, just make their life miserable. It's not like a free ticket for you as a viewer to go and do that. I just think that's shitty. Like, I do this podcast and I've always wanted to, of course, get get famous. I hate that word, but yeah, I'd love this podcast to gain a lot of popularity and have a lot of viewers and have people interested in my life and following what I do, because that's most of what I talk about on here. But if you're going to do that shit, like, I can't even imagine if I had been like on a reality show at some of the toughest times in my life. Even now, you look at somebody that's just being innocently filmed. No, not maybe innocent, like you get these people that they're drunk and they end up, causing a scene and being an asshole and getting kicked out. And then somebody puts that up on the internet. Say if the person does something really heinous, it doesn't excuse it, but at the same time, I don't know, should you like take down their entire life because they became an asshole with a fast food worker or something? Do you know what I mean? That didn't happen before. We could make mistakes and no one was the wiser other than the people involved in it. Now, God forbid you do something and it can end up everywhere. I mean, there are cameras everywhere. You do something and it can end up all over. So, that's what all of us always joke in my age range. Yeah, I'm 60. Jesus Christ, what would have happened if we had cameras everywhere? But anyway, going back to this Amanda and Wes thing, a lot of people would say stuff like, so let me back up to the Amanda and Kyle, Amanda's husband. They were getting separated and they were going through a tough time. He decided he wanted to be a DJ. Now, granted, they've been together, I don't know, I guess like 10 years. And Kyle started a business, this Loverboy alcoholic beverage. And then he wanted to become a DJ. And, as one does, I guess, when you're 40. And Amanda now is finally he's like 42, 3, something like that. And she's now 34. And they're all like, you knew what you were getting into when you married him. You know, you married the guy. And I used to say that. My own marriage, I had, my ex-husband changed in the 10 years throughout. But as one does, everybody changes, you know? Like, I can't believe back in the day, you know, like my parents were together for 60 years. Even they changed. You go throughout life and you learn things and you mature and you change, or you go through things that you go through experiences that change you. But society in general didn't change much. There wasn't constant technology change. People led much simpler lives. Now we're bombarded by so much shit constantly that you can change. You know, your interests, your views, your everything can change. But also this guy, they've been on a reality TV show that completely changes your life. Anyway, they kept saying, well, you knew what you were getting into. No. How did she know where he was going to be in 10 years? She didn't know he's going to become a DJ. You know, they're like, well, you should have known. No, she didn't. Give me a fucking break. And also, I don't know why. And the guy is really, he speaks to her really shittily. I know that's not a word, but he's really shitty to her. You know, he called her a dumbass bitch and he said, fuck you. And that is just not appropriate in my book. You never, ever call names to your spouse. You never call names. You never say, shut up. You never say, fuck you. You know, none of this stuff. You just don't do that. And I never did that. And John and I don't do that. My, you know, guy I've been with for over 10 years. So anyway, she didn't know that, you know, she's changing and maturing along her life from 24 to 34. At 43, she thought, oh, you know, he might be doing it with her, but he didn't. He stayed like Mr. Party Guy. And, you know, he was doing a lot of, you know, drinking all the time, blackout drunk, doesn't come home. And like, that's kind of what happened in my marriage, that we met when we were, I don't know, he was like 23, I was 25. And then a year, so we got married. And then as time went on, and then a couple of years later, we started having kids. It was time to settle down. I mean, it just naturally, do you know what I mean? Your priorities change, your responsibilities change. Well, he had a tough time with that. So he was still, you know, getting blackout drunk. And I guess, you know, must have freaked him out. Then he eventually started having an affair with a woman at work. It's like, and I told myself, like, you picked him. I blamed myself. You picked him. You know, your fault. But I didn't pick him to go have an affair with somebody at work. I trusted him. He had always talked like, you know, fidelity was a priority. But anyway, and then, you know, also neither of us knew that he had an alcohol problem back then. We were just like right out of college, woo, drinking, partying, you know, and he couldn't curb that. It just kept going. So you don't know that's coming. So that's so fucking unfair. And I finally forgave myself, because a lot of people did say that to me. And, you know, I got the Catholic guilt thing working. A lot of times I'm doing the, you know, it's my fault. I do take responsibility for things I may have done that have lent to it. Like, you know, I didn't make certain boundaries. I didn't walk out at a certain point. I, you know, didn't do this. But also, you know, I was afraid. He was a very big guy with a very mean temper. He was a hockey player. He was a Division I college defenseman. He was a goon. I was just afraid of him. People are always like it's so fucking cut and dry. Why don't you just do this? Well, because I'm just trying to make peace. And we had 1, 2, 3 little kids, you know, at various points. And it was just 1, now 2, now 3, you know, and you're like, okay, I just got to keep this going. I just got to keep, I'm a stay-at-home mom. He's my only income. You just gotta, you're in survival mode. So, like, this fucking always blaming the woman shit just fries my fucking ass. I'm steaming right now. I gotta calm down. Because people were like, to her, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? Well, you think maybe I should try. I made a commitment. Maybe we should both try. Maybe we should go. Maybe counseling. Maybe it's gonna work. Maybe. Let's try. When you make a commitment, most people don't bail at the first sign of trouble. Yeah, you get to a point where you see, I gotta go. And I got to that point. And everybody's doing that with her. And I'm just so fucking sick of blaming the woman all the fucking time. And people are doing that, like with her now. Like, yeah, it was kind of shitty that it was a touchy subject with her best friends. Now she's, messing with this guy. But also, when you've been in a relationship like she had been with this guy Kyle that seemed to be kind of abusive, there was a lot of verbal abuse. He was always telling her that she was useless and she didn't do enough for him. I know this is sensitive because all this shit happened to me. I didn't do enough. I wasn't there enough. She wasn't there enough for him. She wasn't behind him enough. She didn't do this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. Everything was her fault. Meanwhile, she put her whole life on hold and just helped him. And that's what I did. My whole life was my ex-husband and our kids. I just did everything. And it was constantly, I still wasn't, I was still lazy. I still didn't give him enough sex. I didn't clean the house enough. I didn't cook good enough food. I didn't give enough sex. I didn't give him enough sex. It's like, I just had a baby and now I have 3 babies. Oh, that's a plot line in another show, The Valley, where this one woman just had a baby and the guy is just like, the kid's 3 months old. He's just like, oh, she never wants sex. She never wants sex. Fucking suck it up, dude. And I used to feel guilty about that one too. Like after, I still need to fulfill my wifely duties. Oh, I just need to, I'm exhausted and I feel terrible about my body. And I'm so emotionally depleted from giving everything I have to these children, my love, my patience, my affection, my whatever, and just give me a break, dude. Just chill out. You can, pleasure yourself for a couple of months. It's not going to kill you and it'll all be good. But when I have to fend you off every night after I told you how it is, you're just building resentment. So it's just a temporary thing. So anyway, that was a thing in my marriage too. And this guy Kyle was always like, don't give me enough affection. Don't give me enough affection. So anyway, when you've been through that with somebody, a lot of times, I don't know, it happened to me. I could see it happen to her. You are so starved for positive reinforcement and for affection. Just like affection as in attention, as in, oh, wow, you're beautiful. Oh, you're so funny. Oh, you're attractive. You're sexy. You're, all this. You're really fucked up for a while. I mean, anybody is. Anybody who's ever been divorced, And there was all these books and therapists and whatever will always say, like, don't date or don't get in a serious relationship within a year of your divorce, the first year after your divorce, because your head is not right. And that's definitely what happened to me. I was a fucking head case. And I'm sorry to anybody that I dated probably within the first 5 years after I got divorced, because I was so needy. And I I was on my own too. He kind of split, and I was just I was out in Denver. I had like no support. I had no relatives. No, I just, finally had some girlfriends, but they all were divorced too. We were all just doing the best we can. So you just want somebody to take care of you. Yeah, I know it's not right. I know it's needy. I know it gives off bad vibes or whatever, but that's what's in your head. And you're always told, don't be needy. If you want to find a man, don't be needy. Don't want affection. Don't be this. Don't be da. So we're constantly told as women that we can't be anything that we need. We can't ever show our hand of what we need. We have to put on this facade. It's always been women were the ones that have to play it cool. Don't call him. Don't, we were all told, anybody of my age, we were all told that shit. Don't ever ask a man out on a date. Clutch the pearls. That was, something that didn't come around until a few years ago. Anyway, this girl is within just leaving the house. She is fucked up. Yeah, did she do the right thing? No, but she's been swept off her feet with this guy. Maybe they did. Maybe they are maybe they do have this undeniable thing that it just happened. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's not convenient for everybody when that happens between two people. Love's not always, if that's what it is, who knows, but we can't say anything. It's for them to figure out. Fucking give them a fucking break. Why? What purpose does it serve for you to make these people's lives a living hell online or just talk about them constantly? Quite honestly, I think it makes you look really stupid if you're the one that's trying to decipher everything and make it look like oh my God, like you just spout off all of this and people that get on their high horse. I'm using you as a, John Q. Public or Jane Q. Public, that's the people that are talking, all this shit online. It makes you look like you're on your high horse and you're so self-righteous, and it also puts you in a bad spot because when you're really self-righteous like that, it's a long fall. If you're on your high horse, it's a really long fall and a hard fall if you do something wrong. So it'll come back to bite you in the ass. So if you're one that's talking about how everybody else is so wrong and they do all these things, if you're constantly talking about, what everybody else is doing wrong, then you wrong. Just hold on to your shorts because you're never going to hear the end of it and you're going to look like a raging asshole. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head as an example of that. Many times why everybody, like a pastor that'll be like really, really anti-homosexual, anti-LGBTQ, or really anti any sort of sexual behavior, and then come to find out, oh, they're a child molester, oh, they're closet gay. Well, that's why they get so much shit, but also to begin with, that was their whole MO, to deflect attention away from them because they were self-loathing or trying to hide something. I mean, if they were, into underage, if they were into minors, that was all to cover up their wrongdoing. But if they were just gay, nobody cares. But the reason they didn't want to come out was because they were going to look bad or didn't fit in with what they thought they were supposed to be. It's just self-loathing. So anyway, when you do that stuff, talking shit about everybody else, I hope you never do anything wrong, because people aren't going to give you the same grace. I mean, there's some people, I try not to do that. I try to give people, everybody makes mistakes, but also if you were a cruel asshole to other people that had done wrong before you, and mainly for the same thing, then fuck you. I don't have much grace for you. But anyway, I can't remember where I left off with Amanda and West and Sierra. But oh, also one little thing about Sierra. I know this isn't going to be a popular thing, but I love her. I think she's a comedic genius. She's gorgeous. All these things. I love her, but I think she got a little carried away with being so sulking. She sulked about West. Like all of last season, she spent her whole time in the house like being pissed off and sulking and not talking to him and making sure that he paid. I think that, and she kind of like, it was her whole, I don't want to say she made it, but like her whole personality and stuff was about being a victim and being unlucky in love. Now, I'm not saying, she didn't help matters. I'm not saying she reveled in it, but she didn't help matters. So anyway, that is such a waste of energy. Girl, you are gorgeous. Just move on. Because when you spend the energy dwelling on being a victim and still being angry at that person and making them pay or whatever, it perpetuates that energy. I know, I went through it. What you put out there, that's what you get back. I'm sorry, I got a little spittle. If you're reveling in this, I've been wronged energy, you're going to keep getting wronged. But if you take on that guy is not worth my time, moving on, he's not even worth my energy, I can't believe that I would give my energy to that, and next. And that's what you do. Because then also if you keep going on about how you were wronged, it's kind of, again, it gives off bad energy and it rubs people the wrong way and it makes you not real attractive. Especially it makes you not attractive, a lot of men. If you're still going on about like, because I know I did it. I'm saying I did it. In the first few years after my divorce, I reveled in my victimhood. I talked about how bad my marriage was and how bad my husband was and how bad and how I'm poor and how I'm broke and whatever. Boy, that's a great sales pitch, isn't it? You need to go on and say, my life is great. That guy didn't want me because he didn't have his shit together. That's his loss. Next. You don't dwell on how you've been wronged and making that person pay and just fucking move on. It'll make you more attractive. And I think a couple of things I've seen of Sierra now in the public, like she's been doing some hosting for shows or red carpet or something or whatever, and she seems to be like making jokes about it, and I'm like, good, that's it, you go girl, fucking move on, don't make that your personality. And that's where you go. And at least the other two are keeping their mouths shut and not making it worse. But West, if you in fact have been spreading your seed all over the place and being a fuckboy and just leading all kinds of women on, then you're an asshole. I really liked you. I liked your personality. I thought you were funny, but you know what? You reap what you sow, and I really don't think you care. I really don't think you care if you get caught or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you do, but if you did, you wouldn't do all this stuff. And Amanda, I hope you figure it out. She doesn't give a shit about me. She, like I'm talking. Who cares? I'm just saying in general. Oops, whoopsie. I'm just saying in general. Any Amandas out there, just if you did something wrong, own up to it. If you are in love, just go. Like if you're like a Lauren, what's her name, Lauren Sanchez, and what's his name, or the people that were on like Good Morning America. You're having an affair. You're both married, and then you end up being together. You just fly under the radar and don't be an asshole. Anyway, my point is, it's not for us. Just, you look like a moron if you're trying to be online spouting off what everybody did, what they should have done, what y'all, mind your own business. Keep your side of the street clean, as they say. Make sure if you're in a glass house, don't throw stones. Make sure your shit's in check. Even if it is, don't leave other people alone. They'll figure it out. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this solo effort of Madge Unmuted. And so subscribe, like, and share, and all that fun stuff while you're here. And I hope to see you on the next episode of